Mark with Precision. We're gonna try to do this video in one take. It's really hot here in Florida. I'm in my garage. The fan is off, my AC unit is down. So we're gonna try to get this video knocked out for you. This is about the outer window sweeps for the 78 to 80 Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme that has the wide molding on top, which we can see here. I ordered these sweeps from Dixie Restoration Depot. I will get you the part number and everything like that, but DixieRestorationDepot.com. This is the wide upper stainless molding. Now, what I did before I started the video was I tested a couple of things. The original window sweeps here have an indent that locks into the back of the molding. That kind of holds them on the molding, so you can put the molding and the sweep on in one piece. I don't really see that as being necessary. It doesn't do anything other than that. It's not a seal or anything. My old sweeps, as you can see here, are super brittle, but they have the felt here that keeps the windows in line, which if we compare it to the new molding, everything is pretty much identical. Okay, we have both our felts in the same place. This front felt, if it gets in the way, I might remove it depending on the curve of the window if it gets hung up. That's the only thing that I haven't really figured out yet. It's got our little plastic curve piece here to keep the window in line. Everything else looks great. I already test fitted the piece on the car with the trim and everything in place. Works great. It's really tight. My window motors don't know what to do because you can see my sweeps here. Okay, you can see. Yeah, that's what I've been dealing with. But I haven't been driving the car, so it's not that big a deal. Anyways, so what I did was I drilled some holes to try to line up with these little parts here in the original molding to like kind of clip and lock it onto place, or at least encompass, because that sticks out at least 3/16 an inch. So I figured there was going to be some gap issues. That's just a waste of time. To me, without the inner door panel on, you can just put this trim on the car like so, and then you can take your window sweep and put it on, line it up how you need to, get your holes in line, put your screws in. I don't even know that I'm going to use the original holes that are in the car. I might just get some self-tappers and go boom right through. So I don't got to worry about having holes drilled in the sweeps that line up with this, because they're not exact. These sweeps are for an 81 to 88 Monte Carlo SS. Now, the reason that is because the Monte Carlo SS has a wide molding on the top of the door, just like the 78 to 80 Cutlass does. Now, believe it or not, this sweep is almost identical. So, we know GM uses different parts for different cars. Well, I think this is one of those cases. And why it's not labeled, I think it's the same reason like my new power steering pump from Tough Stuff. They have it listed not for Oldsmobile engines, but it's just because the outlet port is facing a different direction, but it's got the correct orientation for everything to bolt up on an Oldsmobile engine. So it's one of those things. A lot of things in GM are compatible. This is one of those cases. If you look at the length of the sweeps here, I mean, from front to back, I had them on the car already. They're identical. There's not this little, this little cutout, but there's metal here on the door. There's nothing that's cut out for. There's no reason for that. It's not cut out here, but again, there's metal on the door. So where it comes here, and if you had to trim at the very end of the sweep for how it lays out once all the trim is back in place, it's very easy. Get a pair of snips. That's kind of how this looks like it's trimmed already. Just get a pair of snips, trim the end of the rubber, and nothing else, because you have almost an inch on the front and a half an inch on the back if you needed to trim. At most, you might need to trim a 1/16 or an 1/8 of an inch. So you're never going to need to trim the amount of space that you have to where this mounts on the door. So as long as you make some kind of orientation marks on the original piece where it would line in with those clips. And what I did was I just put it on here and I kind of looked at how, because I don't have much rubber to look at here, how everything lined up in the front and the rear of the trim. And then I just took the new sweep and I put it in place, kind of how it would line up in the front and the rear. And I might have to trim maybe an 1/8 inch or so. They're really nice. It's got this rubber lip, which mine has here too, but it's so dried and stiff from over the years that it's not flexible, where this is flexible. This lip on the top, this inner rubber lip that goes to the molding, is a little taller, and it almost looks like it would go up over the top of the molding like this. and make that a real nice seat there. Because as you can see, the sweep here is a little misformed. I don't know why. Look at the other one. The other one is the same way, so I don't know if it's a packaging, if it's a storage defect, because it shouldn't be like that in my opinion. I'm gonna probably take a little bit of heat to heat up this rubber to kind of get it to go flat again. Otherwise, sitting against the glass, sit your car outside for a couple of days, it's gonna go flat. The inner sweeps, this is a package. The package I believe was $89.99 plus shipping. The inner sweeps are all universal for all G bodies. So the inner sweeps are gonna work just fine. And I have the inner sweeps right here, right? No, that's the old outer sweep. Do I have an inner sweep? I know I have an inner sweep. Oh, it's right here. Okay, so here's the inner sweep. And if you can see, if I line them up here, again, I have no rubber. Most of it broke off when I was taking it off, which I didn't really care because I knew I had to replace them. But they're the same length. Underneath, if we look at the backs here, the holes in the inner sweeps are actually in the correct places for the most part. But other than that, the inner sweeps are the same. So any inner sweeps will work for any G body. At least from my research, that's what I have found. And most sites have the inner sweeps for like 50 bucks a pair, and they're not descriptive. For Oldsmobile, Monte Carlo, or for Cutlass, Monte Carlo, Regal, Grand Prix, it's not descriptive. It's just the inner sweep for a G body. So just verifying that by eye without fitting it on the car, it looks to be correct. I'm gonna have to figure out, which is why I took this door panel apart already on this side, but I didn't completely rip it apart because I want to see how everything lines up so I can get that all correct to put my new stuff on my new door panels. But what I decided to do for the outer sweeps is this. These little tabs that stick out here that would lock the original piece in, I'm going to take my Dremel and I'm going to cut it off. Don't care. You cannot, my original thought was take this, right, cut those off, put this on here like so, and rivet this so that it's one piece. Well, you can't do that because there is the sheet metal of your door, the top of your door runs all along the inside of this molding. So if you put a rivet through, because you couldn't get a rivet from the other side, going the other way, which you could probably do, but the window might scrape on it. So if you put a rivet through the sweep to the trim, it's gonna hit the car. So you're not gonna be able to get the trim down over the top of the car. So you can't do that to hold it in place. But like I said, what I found, I put this on the car, I put this over with the window in place. I lined it up, I started up 3 screws, rolled up the window, I took a couple pictures, I'll also post those, and it was great. It was a little misaligned, like I said, because the holes that I drilled, I just quickly lined things up, made a mark, drilled a hole, so nothing was perfect, which is why I said I don't think I'm gonna use the original mounting holes or locations. There's one that is right behind the glass, right here, that is almost impossible to get to unless you lower the glass. Well, I was able to move my glass back and forth a little and pull it out to get it out with a wrench and a little Phillips bit. I don't want to have to play around with that. It's dumb. It's bad engineering. So what I'm going to do is if I put there's 5 total screws holding this assembly on the car. So if I self-tap 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5th or 6th or 2 in the back, that's going to be more than enough than was holding it on originally. So I'm not going to be concerned with using the original holes. The original screws, which most of the time are stripped out if anybody's taken the car apart before and then you're trying to find replacements, I'm just going to get some stainless 1/2-inch self-tappers. Bam, bam, bam. Self-tap it right in, mount them up. When I do get that process done, I will take videos. When I have the inner sweeps on the inner door panels and all mounted, because those will be mounted with rivets to the metal of the door panels, I will take videos. But I wanted to get you guys this video because around the groups on Facebook, G-Body or Nobody, Classic G-Body Garage, the 78 to 80 groups, this is one of the biggest questions and nobody's got an answer. The other question is for the rear quarter glass, which my outer seal here is broken up on this side, and it looks like what somebody did was just use window weld. I mean, it's really breaking apart here. It looks like what somebody did was just use on the other side. They just took window weld, which is what would seal your glass to your car, and pumped it in here, and then just ran a bead like you would silicone with their finger to make it a nice smooth piece of rubber. Because that's not what's holding the glass in. All that's stopping is water from going into this quarter panel and sitting down in there and rusting the car out, which is a problem. I've had a car that the quarters down here rusted. So if I put the window weld in here just to get that seal done, I'm not worried about this quarter glass piece. But there are some out there. I saw somebody with an outer sweep kit that was for like a 78442 or something. It was listed like that. If you want to do that, you can. But again, it was like 150 or 160 bucks just for this outer sweep, and then that one outer sweep for the quarter panel, not for the inner sweeps also. This way, it's 90 bucks for your two main sweeps. In there, I'm just going to use the window weld, which will cause a seal around the outer window. It won't let any water go into the car. The glass is sealed on the inside, so that won't let any water go in. It'll just make that outer, it'll look like it's not there. I'll take a picture of the other side again and show that at the end of this video. So that's the solution. Down in the YouTube video below, I will put links to this kit. I did contact Dixie Restoration Tech Support. I did contact a bunch of other companies. Nobody gave me the suggestion. There's a lot of kits out there that look like they might work. I almost ordered a few. I contacted Dixie. They said use the Monte Carlo SS. It's got the wide trim on the top, just like that old Cutlass does. And it seems so far that it lines up and it's perfect. So that's the solution. 90 bucks. It was like $20 shipping, $110. Get your inner and outer sweeps. Don't have them custom made for a couple $100. You know, throwing money around. These things should be readily available for these cars. It's ridiculous that 81 to 88 has everything and 78 to 80 is lacking. So as I find more hard to find parts like that, I'm going to make more videos because the people should be informed. I'm not trying to hide nothing. Everything's transparent. As you can see right now, I'm working on the car. Got it all apart. Got most of the trim apart. This will come apart when I take the rest of this door apart so I can sand everything up. I'm finishing. I removed all the stainless steel trim at the bottom. It's got those little tabs that it locks into place. I knocked those off, ground it down. I'm smoothing those out with a little bit of Bondo just to make it perfectly flat. Once I get all that sanded, I just got to sand the car with 400, then wet sand, and she's ready to paint. Once I get there, I can put all my fancy trim back on, and that's when I'll get some more videos of this. So give me a couple of months, and I'll get to utilize these parts. As far as I can say for Dixie, the packaging was nice. The inner sweeps were wrapped in plastic, and they did come protected by this little L. Real hard cardboard here. So again, I'm not sure how this indentation got in here. I might ask Dixie Tech Support about that and see if they have an answer or a solution, because again, I know that with it mounted on the car, it'll eventually straighten itself out. That's all for this video. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the little bell so you can see when we post more videos. I do have some other car videos on this channel. I am going to make a car specific category instead of making a whole new channel. I'm not that big. I do computer stuff. I do car stuff. I do fancy projects, wood projects, my CNC machine. I'm just going to have it all on one channel. I'm going to make categories, so if you guys want to look at something specific, you can go to the specific category and see it, or playlists, or whatever YouTube calls it. Make sure you subscribe. I appreciate it. I will post this in the G-Body groups. Rock on. I hope you guys are getting along on your projects. Hopefully I can see you guys out at the next meet. Till the next video.